What's the problem with the Democratic Party right now? I say that for my friends on the right, my conservative friends on the right, who seem to be disproportionately obsessed with conspiracy theories and evil intent, I think much more of what we see in the world today can be explained through the lens of stupidity and ideology more than evil intent. What's the old saying? The path to hell is led with good intentions. And there's some truth to that. I think when ideology or idealism is pervasive, we lose touch with reality. And so I think the Democratic Party has marred their reputation and their brand right now, and it's probably going to take some work to get it back. And part of it is getting rooted back into their base, which has traditionally been laborers, the average worker, and minorities. And I think they went too far left and lost their base. They lost the message in the base, and this has been called many times, including Elon, the woke mind virus that is pervasively left-leaning, has made people question a lot of what the Democratic Party stands for. And we saw this with this election, with Biden stepping down and Vice President Harris stepping up and spending $1 billion essentially trying to buy votes through influencers and celebrities endorsing her, and kind of suggested they thought American people were really that stupid. And so I think there's a lot of distrust. Now, I think there's distrust for both parties and there's distrust for the government. So I don't think at this point, I wouldn't say the Republican Party is necessarily suddenly so much better. It's just the Democratic Party has put themselves in a situation where there is so much distrust that the only other option currently is the Republican Party. In fairness, I think both parties have a lot of work to do to bring the country together and to work towards a better future for all Americans. And I think it starts with understanding that more unites us than divides us, and we aren't going to legislate morality. When you get in a situation where you're trying to force morality or values through laws, you're in a bad shape as a culture. And it's surprising to me how many of those laws have been forced by the Democratic Party as of late. And I'm all about freedom. I'm a huge fan of freedom. So whether it's a Republican or a Democrat, if you're putting laws in place that enforce my ability to not make a choice for my personal self, I am not a fan, and I will not vote for or stand for. There may be some rare occasions that I'm not thinking about currently, but for the most part, I'm for freedom, the freedom of choice. And that's primarily because humans only grow effectively when they have a choice to grow, meaning they have the freedom. The problem with freedom, however, is it's incredibly messy. When you give people freedom, you give people the ability to make lots of messes. And unfortunately, when they make those messes, they almost never just impact their lives. They impact the lives of the people around them, their society, and their community. So I get how we think we can legislate laws to protect against stupid, but it doesn't work. It makes things worse. And more often than not, as is the case on both sides, I think, we end up creating laws that treat symptoms and do not deal with the underlying problem, which then makes the problem more and more pervasive, more and more pronounced, and more dramatic as time goes on, which is essentially passing it on to the next generation to have to deal with. We got to get out of these ideologies and get into a place where we're more rooted in reality and we're treating real problems, not just masking the symptoms. Part of that is you're not going to force morality through legislation.